This is a part of the Story Over Everything collective. This is MJ. I'm an author, I'm an artist, I'm an analyzer. Find all my work at mjmunoz.com. Henshin Inspection presents Super Sentai Sanctuary. I will be discussing how do you know you aren't walking the wrong path. This is Super Sentai Sanctuary episode 14, The Voice Inside. Avataro Sentai Donbrothers episode 14, Jiro the Substitute, originally aired June 5th, 2022. The writer is Toshiki Inoue, the director is Katsuya Watanabe. The negative thing I wanted to talk about is it is starting to feel blatant when Kiji and Inoue aren't in a scene with the others, especially, they lampshaded it in this one. Momotaro came back and he said, like, "Come, companions," and one of them, I think it was Inoue, said, like, that was a little inconvenient, or that was sudden, or something like that, and he's like, don't complain about it. So, kind of odd. I think the lampshading was to make it funny and to kind of counteract how ridiculous it is, but I just got left with the feeling that it was really ridiculous, so didn't quite work on me. The positive thing I want to say is the Cerebran Knights pressing their advantage to kill the rest of the Donbrothers is a great villainous move, and I'm feeling the threat from these guys, so that is pretty good. Especially in Super Sentai, sometimes it never feels like anybody's in danger, so it's good that they are here. For the direction, I wanted to say that Sorry Brother really got some time to shine during his action scenes. That whole second fight was splendid, and the AR fight was a real spectacle. Kudos to the team for expertly blending effects. There was suit shots, there were CGI shots, there was model work being done, or miniature work, I guess, and just, it was super cool. And I love the scene. The set design alone from the AR world is amazing. And I've talked about how it looks kind of like Gridman the Hyper Agent, like that Net World or whatever. But I don't care. I don't care that they kind of stole it or whatever. It looks fabulous. And it does feel distinct from, like, Go Busters, where Messiah is in the computer world or whatever. It feels, I think, very distinct from that. But, man, I don't know. There's something good going on there. So I really like that. Moving on to writing. The characters are behaving like rational actors in this wild world of Donbrothers. They dismiss Jirou because of his looks. Specifically, they even mock him like, "Hey, are you some sort of, action show otaku?" I don't know any grown man who would dress like that. Okay, never mind. So that was kind of interesting. And then they take logical steps to bring back Taro, like doing the Kibi points thing. And then Tsuyoshi wants to exact vengeance from whoever hurt Miho. And the fact that it happens to be Inuzaka is going to make for great conflict. So I'm liking all this stuff. Like, that's more of that universal fantasy stuff I was talking about that T. Taylor wrote about. You've got these guys who are allies, and they don't know that there's some sort of triangle or quadrihedral between them, and now one of them wants revenge on the other for hurting the woman. The one guy thinks the woman that he hurt accidentally is his love, his lost love, and she doesn't know who he is, and her guy who is in love with her wants to kill him, the motorcycle guy who hit her on accident, and it turns out that she's a monster and he's a monster. And like, that's just like layer on top of layer of butter being spread all over the characters in the story, and it just makes it delicious to watch the conflict emerge and erupt, and whatever other E word I can't think of at the moment, as the story continues. So I like that a lot. I got a bunch of general notes. You can go ahead and look at those over on the blog in the show notes at mjmunoz.com. But moving into the reflections of the episode, how do you know you aren't walking the wrong path, and what tells you right from wrong? So, this question applies to multiple characters. It applies to Tsuyoshi, who's becoming a Hitsotsuki, or whatever, and it applies to Sonoi, who's a Cerebran, and it applies to Jirou himself, and maybe some of the other characters, but for sure, those three. Maybe throw a little Jin in there because he's being weird, not grieving over the loss of his adopted son, even though he's sad that he's gone. But maybe that can be explained some other way. His philosophy of, I just won't be sad because he's dead and there's nothing I can do to bring him back, doesn't quite make sense, because you got to process your grief. And I want to know why Jin is convinced that he's doing the right thing. So it's less like I followed the Bible, which I do. And that's where my morals come from, which they do. I don't really care about that. I'm wondering what happens when you're in the real world and what you believe is conflicting with reality, or what you believe doesn't spell everything out 100%, so you're not sure that what you're doing is the right way to do things. It's the best way to do things, even though you think it's probably right or it's the moral way to do things. So like, it's really interesting to me that they had this thing for Jirou, that he's had this voice inside of him telling him he was a born hero and that he was kind of destined to do great things, or at least he was able to be a vessel for good things. And I assume he literally means good things. He doesn't mean I will be a great man and everyone will know me because I murdered millions. No. He's going to be a hero, and he's going to help people with whatever gift or power or strength that he has, and that something is driving him to make himself available for that destiny. And because Taro is from a royal house of Idion, and that kind of leads me to assume that the other Cerebran Knights are also from royal houses, I think Sonoi has his culture telling him to do one thing, but his nature as a Cerebran not really having emotions or understanding human emotions fully, being this like higher intellectual being. He's similar to Taro in how Taro couldn't lie. It killed him literally to lie, or to try to lie, so he couldn't even, the lie would die on his lips with him, which is a great gag. Anyway, similarly, I believe that Sonoi has betrayed himself, betrayed his moral code or character or whatever, by taking advantage of Momoi Taro in the way that he did, leading to his death or banishment or whatever it is. But he he said to his companions or whatever, his fellow Cerebran Knights, that he would from this point on not do anything to defend the humans, that he would in fact attack all the Donbrothers and kill them if he needed to. But I'm wondering, particularly since he did not seem to have a problem with the concept of lying, like Taro, and is asking a disingenuous question the same thing as lying? Like when he asked Taro what his weakness is that kind of the same thing as lying? I don't know, technically it may not be, but regardless, I think he might have lied to them when, or at least to, what is her name, Sonona or something, whatever, the girl, when he said to her, I will attack them with, vigor from now on. He could have been lying, and he could have been buying himself time, and their fight got interrupted, so we didn't get to see what would actually have happened, although it did look like he was close to killing them. But maybe because they got interrupted and they weren't actually sword at the point of someone's throat, if he was in that situation, maybe he would have cracked and said, no, I can't do this. This is dishonorable. We need to lay off, or whatever. I betrayed and disgraced myself. I, know better than a human. How could I kill them myself? Something like that. That could happen. But we haven't had the chance to see that yet. So, that's him and him struggling with his moral compass or whatever. But then the last person is Tsuyoshi. He's, obviously upset that his wife was injured by a motorcyclist. That's what they're called, not motorcyclers. Hi, I'm a motorcycler. Although you are a biker, and that's cool, but you wouldn't call somebody a motorcycler. Anyway, or would you? I don't know. I wouldn't. Anyway, moving on. So, at the end, he's like seething over her bed as she's in the hospital, waiting to get out the next day. And, he wants to kill somebody. He wants to take over and kill whoever, did this to me, whoever hurt her. And he's got some sort of monster in him because he's so, I find that, first of all, I think that's super interesting. I'm not going to go off on all these tangents based on, how interesting it is that they're actually letting that happen to a main character of a Super Sentai, but I am going to talk about the implications of that and clarify or say that I think it's interesting that Tsuyoshi has been corrupted, and that, while he does love Miho, while Miho is his whole world, while he lacks confidence, and part of that is a complex that he has where he sees himself as less than, and therefore he probably wants to overcompensate by being evil or giving into these super negative dark feelings in order to make himself worthy of her, or at least if he's not worthy of her, then he will be able to do something. I think all of that comes from his inadequacy and his weakness, and he seems to be very traditionally Japanese, so to speak. Man, Zach, what was his name? The guy from Anime News Network, he made a comment about, I'm not going to go off on that, but, rest in peace, dude. Anyway, I just think it's interesting that he's so polite. He talks about manners in his inner monologue, and he's upset with his fellows about not showing manners all the time, his companions, but he doesn't necessarily say that. He does not, in fact, say that because he wouldn't want to say that to be rude or to have the conflict or whatever. There's various reasons why he is like that. So he's got these personality flaws and these negative traits that have become so powerful that they've enabled him to be warped. And he has agreed, I guess it's agreed, because that's what all these Hitotsuki people have, right? He has some sort of greed over Miho, but I think it's from an inadequacy, and he's like, dependent or codependent upon her to have any, I don't know, worth for himself or any value. And I think it's all interrelated to that. So it's like his inner voice, right? This is what I'm talking about. Where does your morality come from, or where do your values come from? Like, his inner voice is warped because it's just desperately clinging on to having some sort of value from an external source instead of from within himself. And then Sonoi is struggling because his inner value of being an honorable warrior is chafing against the fact that he, or his companions, are pleased with the fact that he dishonored and lied and made a smart tactical move, even though it was, not honorable, an honorable move, which led him to victory. And going back to the first person, Jirou has this internal conflict because everybody around him, all his life in his little town where he lived in Japan, took him as a joke, and the Donbrothers basically treat him as a joke, and he feels like he should be a hero. He feels like he has a greater destiny to rise to, something that he should be able to do and manifest into this world, but everything around him is telling him he can't. So, like, what's he going to do? Is he going to become obsessed with becoming a hero and then become a Hitotsuki? Or, is that a possibility? And then is that coming from an inadequacy within him, or what? And I guess I just thought it was a really interesting topic that was raised. There was this concept of, they literally talked about the voice inside in the episode, and then I feel like there's this internal conflict you can see in these few characters, and it just made me want to talk about it. I thought it'd be an interesting topic. And then I would say, as a parting shot, so to speak, that, like, whatever the voice inside of you is telling you to do, if it's telling you to aggress against others or to hurt others, in a way where you're the victimizer, not a defender or a guardian, then you shouldn't listen to that voice inside, and you need to, like, find some moral center. Otherwise, you'll become a dangerous individual, and we do not want that. Okay, so that's pretty much all I have to say. Again, I don't have anything for the Creator Spotlight this week, and I just have links in the show notes for you to check out more of my Holy Heroes project, and I plan to be updating that soon, but I need to find time for it and make time for it. So the Super Sentai Sanctuary should continue at a decent clip. I should be keeping pace and getting episodes out within a few days, Wednesday, Thursday. Well, I hope Tuesday, Wednesday is my ideal time to publish, but we'll just have to see how everything works out. So anyway, come back for more interesting analysis next time, and go to mjmanus.com to check out the author, artist, and analyzer menus or tabs on the top, so you can find all of my other work. And that's it. This is MJ signing off. I'm leaving you with peace and blessings, and I want to let you know that this is a part of the Story Over Everything collective, where I'm kind of documenting my path as a author, because story is everything, like I said.